there is nothing you have done.
When we show up as a representative or different people or trying to please everyone, we are out of alignment. We're out of integrity. We're out of congruency with the true nature of who we are.
No one's picked up my book proposal yet.
Yes.
I haven't found my soulmate yet. Everything is yet.
The power of yet.
Power of yet.
It's the biggest piece of dog
It started with a smile, not a fake one, not obviously, but the kind that feels practiced, polished, like it's been tested in the mirror more times than you'd think. Meghan Markle has built an empire on being raw, real, and resilient. Her story of breaking free from the royal machine, standing tall through mental health struggles, and becoming a beacon for authenticity has pulled millions into her orbit. But what if none of it was real? What if the most relatable woman in modern media wasn't just curating her brand, but scripting it? Because now, one of her biggest supporters, beauty mogul and billionaire Jaime Kern Lima, has flipped the script, and what she's saying has left Meghan seething behind the scenes. According to Jaime, what looked like an honest conversation on Meghan's podcast was actually something else entirely, a performance. From emotional pauses to perfectly timed camera angles, Jaime says it was all planned, controlled, manipulated, and the worst part, she has proof. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what Jaime revealed, how Meghan's empire is reacting, and why this might be the final crack in a brand already on life support. Stay with us, because what happens next might change how you see Meghan forever.
You have to imagine, at the beginning, everyone has like butterflies, and then we immediately went into the trenches together.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, like 6 months into dating. So now 7 years later, when you have a little bit of breathing space.
Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with her.
On the surface, it looked perfect. Two powerful women, both self-made, both hailed for their resilience, sitting down for what the media painted as a soulful, intimate conversation. Meghan and Jaime, Duchess meets mogul. It was supposed to be a celebration of grit, truth, and emotional healing. But the moment Jaime Kern Lima stepped into the studio, something didn't feel right. The room wasn't just set up for a podcast. It was staged like a movie set. Producers moved with precision. Lighting wasn't just flattering, it was sculpted. Cameras were already rolling before the first word was spoken. Then came the script. Jaime was handed a rundown, not just topics, but emotional beats, where to pause, when to react, how to mirror Meghan's energy for maximum relatability. There were notes on vulnerable angles and even guidance on when to soften her voice. Jaime had been through media before, but this wasn't media. This was performance art disguised as authenticity. Still, she played along at first. Maybe it was nerves, maybe she didn't want to rock the boat. But the second the microphones were off, the Meghan she'd just spent an hour speaking with disappeared. Gone was the soft-spoken survivor. In her place, a stone-cold strategist. But what Jaime saw next shook her to the core. For weeks, Jaime said nothing. Not to her team, not to the media, not even to her closest friends. She kept it locked inside. The discomfort, confusion, the gut-deep feeling that something was very, very wrong. After all, this was Meghan Markle, the Duchess, the face of emotional transparency. Speaking out against her felt like betrayal, or worse, career suicide. So Jaime tried to move on. She told herself maybe it was just how things worked at that level. Maybe vulnerability had to be choreographed. Maybe the world just didn't want raw. It wanted produced pain, packaged in digestible clips. But that quiet didn't last. It couldn't. Because when the episode finally aired, Jaime's inbox exploded. Hundreds of messages poured in from fans. Women saying how inspired they were by Meghan's honesty, how they wept at her rawness, how her words had saved them. And that's when Jaime broke. Not out of anger, but guilt, because she knew it wasn't real. None of it. The tears, timed, the sighs, scripted. The whole thing had been staged like a scene from a prestige drama, and she had been a supporting character in a performance she didn't sign up for.
And she also is pretending that she's crying. We zoomed in just to see. There isn't a tear in sight. Dan, look at this. I invite the viewers to take a close-up look at this. Where's the tear?
She hit record, sat in front of her own mic, and told the truth. But when Jaime finally spoke, no one, especially Meghan, was ready for what she said. The moment Jaime's episode dropped, Meghan's team went into full-blown panic mode. Phones started buzzing at dawn. Assistants were pulled from sleep. Emails marked urgent pie flooded inboxes. The headline circulating in internal PR chats was simple but devastating. Jaime Kern Lima calls Meghan Markle fake, and she's got the receipts. Inside Meghan's Montecito estate, things were reportedly chaotic. Sources close close to her inner circle say she was pacing, screaming, and demanding immediate answers. Why didn't we see this coming? One staffer allegedly asked. Meghan, according to insiders, wanted the podcast episode taken down immediately. She called it a misrepresentation, a breach of trust, and even threatened legal action. But Jaime hadn't broken any deals. She hadn't even named Meghan directly in the first few minutes. What made it hit so hard was that everyone already knew who she was talking about. Within hours, Meghan's lawyers were reviewing contracts. Crisis managers drafted statements. Publicists fielded panicked calls from brand partners. Internally, they discussed forcing a retraction, maybe claiming the taping was misunderstood, maybe painting Jaime as bitter or attention-hungry. But there was one problem. Jaime was untouchable, respected, successful, no scandal, no agenda, and she was calm, dead calm. That made it worse. And that's when the real nightmare began. Meghan had survived bad press before. Tabloids, Piers Morgan, royal sources. None of it stuck for long because she had allies, powerful ones, and no ally loomed larger than Oprah, the woman who gave Meghan and Harry their post-palace platform. The interview watched around the world, the viral clips, the revelations, the tears. It was Oprah who gave Meghan the space to tell her truth, and the world listened. So when Jaime Kern Lima's podcast began going viral, Meghan's team expected backup, a signal of support, maybe a tweet, a line in a magazine interview, a quote from Gayle King. But what came was nothing. No mention, no denial, no show of solidarity. Oprah went radio silent.
Meghan, you have been working so hard. Oh my God. You're probably the hardest worker in the world. I don't know anybody that's worked as hard as you. I don't know, I'm just doing my best.
Behind the scenes, whispers started. Had Oprah's team known Jaime would speak? Were they distancing on purpose? One insider claimed Meghan's reps reached out to Harpo Productions and were met with chilling indifference. Another source alleged Meghan was quietly left off the guest list for a recent Montecito dinner with Oprah's inner circle. No invite, no explanation. In Hollywood, silence speaks louder than scandal. It wasn't just the media watching now, it was the industry. People who had once lined up to work with Meghan were suddenly pulling back, waiting to see which way the wind would blow. And when even Oprah won't pick up the phone, you know it's bad. Hollywood doesn't wait for confirmation. It reads the room and it moves fast. As Jaime Kern Lima's podcast episodes spread like wildfire across TikTok, Reddit, and morning news roundups, Meghan's name started quietly vanishing. Not from headlines, from boardrooms. PR agencies stopped pitching her. Brand managers hit pause on partnership rollouts. One rep at a major luxury fashion house reportedly said, "We just can't take the risk. Not right now." And that's the key word, risk. Meghan had always been a high reward figure. Polarizing, yes, but powerful. She could move products, launch movements, dominate headlines. But after Jaime's revelations, the perception shifted. It wasn't just controversy anymore, it was credibility collapse. Her massive Spotify deal had already fizzled out, quietly canceled after just one season of Archetypes. Netflix too had started to grow cold. Projects greenlit and excitement were now under review. Meetings postponed, emails ignored. Meghan's name was no longer a selling point, it was a liability. And worse, industry insiders were talking. One producer who worked on a past docuseries said Meghan, obsessed over every frame, demanding final cut on even the smallest moments. She wasn't trying to look good, they said. She was trying to control the narrative, every beat. The authentic Duchess brand was unraveling and nobody wanted to get dragged down with it. And one by one, the doors started closing.
It's actually worse because the Harry and Meghan show at least had newsworthy lines, at least had some purpose to it. Whereas this feels exactly what it is. It's something which was done clearly as a contractual obligation. Does anyone really care? And I think the answer is no.
This wasn't just a PR scandal anymore, it was personal. For millions of people who had stood by Meghan, defended her through headlines, royal fallout, and public scrutiny, this felt like betrayal. The shift online was instant. Longtime supporters posted threads, voicing the kind of heartbreak usually reserved for public figures who fall from grace. One viral tweet said it all. "I defended Meghan for years. I believed her. I cried with her. Now I feel played." That wasn't hate, that was disappointment, and it cut deeper. Across Reddit, comment sections filled with people rewatching the Oprah interview with fresh eyes. The pauses suddenly felt too perfect. The tears, too well timed. The emotional cracks looked like calculated cues. Influencers who once wore Team Meghan merch deleted old videos. Podcasts that had praised her pivoted to cautious analysis. The mood had shifted. Meghan wasn't being attacked. She was being reevaluated. And then came the edits. Fan-made supercuts showing Meghan's emotional moments, lined up next to Jaime's claims about scripting and direction. The clips that once inspired millions, now they looked like rehearsals. The truth didn't need to be shouted. It was whispered, echoed, felt, and the more people looked back, the more things stopped adding up. The rumors were already damaging. The silence from Meghan's camp was deafening. But Jaime's next move, that's what sent shockwaves across Hollywood. She didn't rant. She didn't post cryptic Instagram quotes. She dropped a single teaser clip, calm, composed. Sitting behind her podcast mic, she said one chilling line. This isn't about tearing someone down. It's about truth, and I still have the tapes. Boom, that moment broke the internet. Reddit exploded with theories. TikTok creators dissected every syllable. Headlines screamed, Jaime Kern Lima says Meghan Markle scripted emotions. Raw audio coming soon. And here's the thing. This wasn't some clout-chasing nobody. Jaime had nothing to gain and everything to lose. Her brand was built on transparency. Her company, IT Cosmetics, sold for $1.2 billion because women trusted her. So when Jaime says she has behind-the-scenes recordings, raw, uncut audio from Meghan's infamous podcast episode, people believe her. Inside Meghan's circle, the mood shifted from panic to dread, because if that audio proves what Jaime claims, that Meghan's sighs, pauses, tears were pre-planned, directed, and rehearsed, it's not just bad PR, it's fraud, manipulation, a betrayal of the very image Meghan has sold the world. And if what's on those tapes is real, Meghan may have just scripted her way into a career-ending scandal.
Have you ever seen that video? No. Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
Trick that people do with pineapple, instead of just cutting it to make the perfect little bite, you follow the wedge. When nature has given you all the cues on how to have a perfect taste of something.
Oh, how fun is that? I love it.
I like working hard.
This woman is being paid millions of dollars to show how to cut into a pineapple.
Behind closed doors, Meghan's team was still working overtime. Lawyers on speed dial, publicists drafting reframing strategies, hush calls made to partners. Crisis PR isn't new to her brand, but this time felt different because this wasn't just about one podcast episode, it was about the foundation cracking beneath her entire empire. Every brand deal, media appearance, and documentary had been sold on the promise of realness. Meghan wasn't a celebrity, she was a symbol, a survivor, a truth teller. That was her currency. And now, that currency was rapidly losing value. Hollywood insiders whispered about post-Meghan pivots. Dior allegedly paused negotiations. Netflix began quietly shelving her development slate. The brand partnerships weren't dead, but they were on icing. And Meghan, she stayed silent. No rebuttal, no public statement, no vulnerable Instagram caption, because every option came with risk. Say too much, she looks defensive. Say too little, she looks guilty. The one card left to play? A comeback, a tell-all, maybe even a full confession. But the question now is, would anyone still buy it? Rebuilding is possible, but it won't be easy. The road back demands more than PR spin. It demands transparency, vulnerability that isn't staged, truth that can't be edited. But if the tapes drop, raw, unedited, undeniable, all the spin in the world may not be enough. So now, the question isn't whether Meghan Markle lied. It's something far more complicated and far more uncomfortable. Did she ever tell the truth, or did she just get really good at performing? Because if even a fraction of what Jaime Kern Lima said is true, if the scripts, the emotional staging, and the production level manipulation were all part of the plan, then we're not just witnessing a PR stumble. We're watching the unraveling of a carefully curated identity, an identity that millions believed in, that brands invested in, that Oprah herself once championed. And now, with Jaime teasing the release of raw, behind-the-scenes audio, Meghan's silence is no longer protection. It's a spotlight. And in this industry, the longer you wait to speak, the louder the truth sounds without you. Whether Meghan chooses to fight back, confess, or disappear, one thing's clear: the mask has slipped, and the world is watching. If you want to hear the real story behind Meghan's Netflix drama and why producers are now quietly distancing themselves, make sure you watch our next deep dive right here on Star Spotlight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story, it's not over, not even close.